When I was a junior in high school, I had heard about TikTok before, but never downloaded the app or found out more about it because I had always thought that it was more for middle schoolers and younger kids. But then the pandemic hit, and everything changed. Schools were closed, and we couldn't go visit with our friends or family members out of fear of accidentally spreading the virus. I was trapped at home with just my younger sisters, who were twins. They were only a couple of years younger than me, and their names were Sarah and Esther. For the most part, my sisters and I have always been pretty close, and while we may argue here and there, we never really had any big fights. But during the quarantine, we were spending more time with each other than ever before, and we're always arguing about the silliest things, like using up all the hot water while showering, eating the last brownie, or hogging the TV remote. Our parents are both essential workers, so it wasn't like there was anyone there to break up our fights. We knew we needed something to bring us together, something we could bond over. Sarah brought up TikTok. She thought it would be fun if we made videos together. I wasn't sure if this was something I would enjoy, but I decided to give it a shot. We started out keeping things pretty simple. We did trending dances like the Renegade and would sometimes do little skits and things. Before long, we ended up building a pretty decent following on the platform. I was surprised by this, and I didn't know what set us apart from any of the other thousands of teenage girls doing the same sort of things, but I'll admit, I enjoyed the attention. Once it got to be warmer outside, we decided it would be safe to go to the beach to film some videos. After all, the beach was big enough that we wouldn't be anywhere near anyone else. We were tired of filming every single TikTok from our house and wanted to switch it up a little. When we got to the beach, I was excited to see that it was almost completely empty. We had it almost all to ourselves. We filmed a bunch of videos. The twins were in gymnastics, and they taught me some of their stunts. We headed home exhausted, but in great moods. That night, I was laying in bed reading the comments on some of our latest videos. Even though we made all the videos together, the twins let me run the account since I was better with effects. All of a sudden, I noticed one new comment that said, "Loved watching you guys at Ladyview Beach today. You all look beautiful." I gasped. My sisters and I were always careful not to include street names or anything else in our videos that could help people figure out where we lived or what our full names were. Even scarier, we hadn't seen anyone around while we were making the videos. I couldn't believe someone had been watching us in secret. I checked out the account that had made the comment. The username was 3sisterslovers82, and they didn't have any videos. I deleted the comment and decided not to tell my sisters. I didn't want them to worry. I put my phone away and went to sleep, feeling a little uneasy. The next day, the girls and I decided to go to a local park to film TikToks. It was a hidden gem that most people didn't know about, and we were the only ones there. The twins were laughing and having a great time, but I kept looking over my shoulder, making sure nobody was watching us. I tried to seem excited and did my best to act normal for them. It felt like it was my job as the older sister to protect them from the creeps of the world. As much as I hoped I would never hear from 3sisterslovers82 again, I was sadly disappointed that night when I was scrolling through the comments of our most recent TikTok and I saw another comment from their account. "You guys looked great dancing at Bellevue Park today. What I would do to be with one of you." A shiver ran down my spine, and my heart began to beat faster and faster. Not one of us had posted where we were filming that day. We didn't even see anyone the whole time. How did this person know where we were at all times? I realized we had a serious stalker on our hands. After deleting the comment, I ended up messaging the person through TikTok. "I know you're stalking us. What do I have to do to get you to leave us alone?" The person responded in only minutes. "I want a lock of hair from each of you and 1 drop of each of your blood mailed to this address," they wrote, including a P.O. box number. I was shocked and disgusted. What a psycho! I realized this had become serious enough that it was probably time to get the police involved. I couldn't hide this from my sisters anymore. I ended up sitting the twins down, telling them what was going on, and showing them the message. They were just as scared as I was. Sarah agreed that we should tell our parents and notify the police, but Esther was totally against it. She told us that if we told our parents what was going on, they would probably make us delete TikTok. We should just give him what he wants. What's a little blood? Eventually, we agreed. We each cut a tiny strand of hair and put it in an envelope. We then used a sewing needle to prick our fingers and let the blood drip onto a piece of paper. We put the paper in the envelope and mailed it to the address the account had given us. I know we sound crazy for going along with this, but we were young and didn't want to throw away our internet fame. For almost a week, we heard nothing, and we started to feel a little better. One evening, our parents were going to be home late, and we were having a girls' night. We had lots of blankets and pillows laid out in the living room, and we were watching a movie. All of a sudden, we heard a strange creaking sound upstairs. It sounded like someone walking around. We all froze and stared at each other. We were the only ones home, and we didn't have any pets that could make the sound. As the oldest, I felt the need to protect my sisters. I tiptoed to the kitchen and grabbed my dad's biggest steak knife. I don't want to call the police if it's just the wind blowing through an open window or something. I have to go see what it is, I told my sisters. Well, you're not going without us, Sarah said. The girls each grabbed a knife from the kitchen and followed behind me as we made our way up the stairs, being careful not to make a single sound. The closer I got, the more sure I was that there was a person upstairs. I could hear someone rummaging around. I saw a faint light coming from my bedroom. It was moving around like light from a flashlight would. I finally reached the entrance to my room and peeked inside. I saw the back of a very large man standing next to my dresser. He was pulling clothes out and smelling them. I was disgusted as much as I was terrified. Suddenly, the man whirled around and stared at us, his eyes wide and crazy. All of a sudden, he lunged at us, causing all three of us to scream. I slammed the door shut, trapping him inside. My sisters pushed all their weight against the door to hold it closed while I grabbed the key to the door that always sat on top of the door frame. The man was screaming and slamming against the door so hard I was sure the wood was going to break. My fingers shaking like crazy as I finally managed to lock the door. That won't hold him for long. We have to run, I told my sisters. We sprinted down the stairs and out the front door. We barely made it out the door when I heard a loud booming sound, and I realized that the man had broken the door down. "He's coming!" Sarah screamed. We ran to the house next door and began to frantically knock on the door, but no one answered. We ran across the street and tried banging on that door. For several moments, they didn't answer, and I turned around and saw the man leaving our house and running right at us. I screamed at the top of my lungs. Much to my relief, the door swung open, and Melanie, a mom of 6, was standing right there. She looked at us with concern and confusion. "Someone broke into our house and they're after us. Help!" I told her. She looked past us and must have seen the man coming, because she quickly pulled us inside, shutting and locking the door behind us. No sooner had she locked it did the man begin banging on her front door. "Jack, get your shotgun!" Melanie called out to her husband. "Girls, go into the other room and call 911, now," she told us. We did as we were told. I called 911 and they told us they would send officers right away. It didn't seem like the man was anywhere close to giving up, and I wondered if the police would even get there in time. Had the three of us put this family in danger? I watched from the window as he pounded on the door over and over again, almost as if he was a zombie and we were his prey. Just as I was sure the door was about to break down, sirens filled the air and the man was knocked out of his daze and sprinted off into the shadows. Cops filled the streets and tackled him quickly, taking him into custody. It turned out that he was a full-blown psycho who had driven hours from a different state to stalk my sisters and had planned to kidnap all three of us. We still don't know how he got into our house. All I know is that if things had gone even just a little bit differently, my sisters and I could have been killed that night. Like a lot of people, I got into TikTok during the quarantine because there just wasn't much to do. I had been sent home from college and was living with my parents and younger brother. I've always liked ghosts and paranormal experiences and things like that, so I decided to start a TikTok account based on it. I would research ghost encounter stories that people didn't know about and would make TikToks about them. I didn't have a ton of followers, but I enjoyed doing it and it gave me something to keep me occupied. Sometimes one of my followers, who was just as obsessed with paranormal stuff as I was, would message me about some sort of haunted legend or scary story that they had heard about online. I would research it and sometimes do a video about it. But then one day, a kid messaged me about something called Cliff's Manor. It was an old, abandoned mansion that once belonged to a very wealthy man who ran an oil company. His last name was Cliff. He was very wealthy, but made his money by taking advantage of other people. He had everything he could want until his wife died during childbirth. The baby died too. After that, Mr. Cliff went completely bonkers. He felt like his wife's death was his punishment for taking advantage of so many people. Eventually, he shot himself in the head in his mansion. A maid found his body the next day. After his death, extended family members tried to sell the house and make a profit, but they had no luck. Whenever people would come to tour the house, they would say they had a sick feeling in the pit of their stomach, and they knew it was an evil place. Eventually, the house was just boarded up and abandoned. Allegedly, police used to supervise it to make sure curious people didn't go in, but over time it was mostly forgotten about. In recent years, paranormal junkies who visited the house claimed to hear the ghost of Mr. Cliff screaming for his wife and child. The story was enough to send a chill down anyone's spine. When I found out that Cliff's manor was only a couple of hours from me, I knew I was going to have to check it out. I packed my bag and told my parents I would be visiting with my cousin for a few days. I knew they wouldn't approve of my plan to break into an old mansion. The drive went smoothly, and I arrived there just at sunset. The mansion was out in the country with no other buildings around in sight. The mansion was enormous, and even though it was covered with moss and clearly falling apart in some places, it was still beautiful. My plan was to take a quick tour of the inside and put some clips together for a TikTok. I walked up to the building and saw that there were lots of no trespassing signs around, but no cameras or anything. I tried the door, and to my relief, it was unlocked. I walked inside and immediately gasped at how much of a haunted house it really looked like. There was old black and white pictures on the walls, dusty furniture, and lots of cobwebs. I was recording on my phone while holding my flashlight in the other hand. The wind whistled through the ceiling, and it sounded like a high-pitched crying. A shiver ran down my spine, but I forced myself to keep going. I walked through the living room, then through the kitchen, and finally into what looked like it used to be Mr. Cliff's office. There was a desk, a fountain pen, and what looked like a file cabinet. Feeling curious, I made my way over to the desk, wanting to know if there were any old papers still inside. Before I could, a man's deep voice boomed through the room.
"Get out of my house!"
I spun around expecting to see somebody there, but there was nobody. Before I could run, the door leading to the office slammed shut, causing the glass to rattle. I ran to it and tried to open it, but it had been locked. I screamed in terror as I looked through the glass panel on the door and saw a black figure floating through the living room with a shotgun in hand. I raced back to Mr. Cliff's desk, grabbed a heavy-looking globe from on top of it, and hurled it at the window. It broke the old glass easily. I climbed out quickly and sprinted to my car as fast as I could. All the while, I could hear the man sobbing behind me. To this day, I've been too afraid to watch the footage I captured on my phone. One day I was scrolling through TikTok when I saw that someone new had followed me. This was a little unusual since I never posted videos and didn't really have any followers. I figured it was just a bot, but I clicked on it anyways. There was no name on the profile, but lots and lots of videos. I was surprised when I noticed that each video seemed to feature a young girl around my age, between the ages of 14 and 18 or so. The videos seemed to be taken without the girl knowing. Some videos were of a girl dancing in ballet class, others were of a girl eating lunch in a school cafeteria. The creepiest one of all was of a girl with her friends trying on clothes at the mall. Each video was labeled with a 4-digit number. I began to feel sick when I realized there was a common theme with all the girls. They were all slender, dark-haired, and very pale, just like me. I decided to report the account to TikTok, but after a few days, nothing had been done and the account was still there. It was even uploading new videos of more girls. I was creeped out and disgusted, but didn't know what else could really be done. I ended up sending a link to the account to my friend Callie. "How creepy is this?" I wrote in my message to her. Just as I sent it, my mom called me down for dinner. I left my phone in my room for just about a half an hour. When I came back up to my room and looked at my phone, I realized I had 6 missed calls and a bunch of texts from Callie. "That's you in the most recent video," she told me. In a panic, I quickly pulled up the weird account and noticed that they had posted a brand new video. My blood ran cold as I realized it had been taken only moments ago. It was, in fact, of me, taken from outside my bedroom window. It was of me lying in my bed while texting. I was shocked and terrified. I showed the account to my parents, who ended up calling the police. By the time the police got to my house, the account was completely gone. There was no proof it had even ever existed. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out one of the newest videos on Anna Horror. I got stuck in a water park ride overnight. It's guaranteed to send a shiver down your spine. Sleep tight.